Okay. So, again, thank you. This is essentially a three-part interview. We have three segments to cover. The first being logistics. The second is more about organizational assimilation, and then job satisfaction. So, we'll start with just what corporate function you work in, and or what type of work do you do?
Oh, sure. So I work in human resources, and my role is vice president, business area HR leader, which essentially means that for our HR function, for people that are HR business partners to support leaders through various restructuring, coaching, guidance, org effectiveness, org design work. We are that central point for the various C-suite, senior vice president level leaders within the organization. And for me, I support the finance organizations where I'm focused, which is about a 700 person team, closer to 1,000 when you put into place the global aspect of it.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. And then initially, if you could think back to when you joined your organization, what are some things that attracted you to your current employer?
Oh, so when I think back, at the time I worked for another company that felt I shouldn't say everyone, but to me, it felt like people were stagnant. I didn't feel like people were driven to find the next opportunity. So it's kind of like wherever you came in is probably where people were going to stay for the majority of their career. And I personally knew that what I was doing at the level I was doing, the comp I was getting, all of those elements was not where I wanted to be for the rest of my career. So um, that was what drove me to look for other employment. And when the company I worked for came along, it was the fast-paced nature of the company. It seemed like it was going to be opportunities to learn. Um, it just seemed like I was going to get more opportunities to do different responsibilities and to grow more than what I felt I was getting from my previous employer.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. And then, are you aware of any diversity and inclusion initiatives at your current place of work?
Yes.
And what does some of those look like?
Ooh, let's see. Where could I start? Um, IND or diversity and inclusion efforts are core to our company just in general. Like I know we've received awards, and it's a big part of who we are. We have a full team that brings content, be it around different holidays, be it to bring safe spaces for people to talk about different racial injustice, issues like George Floyd, for example. Last year, they created safe spaces for um, people of color, especially African American males, to come forward and share their stories, and for allies to speak up on how they were impacted. So even things like that are not work, we still are affected by things like that at work. So to have that kind of a space speak volumes in my mind, because I don't, from just friends, that all companies aren't created equal in that regard, to give that kind of a space for people to feel included and to feel heard and to be realized what you're going through.
Got it.
So that's one thing. But even when it comes to work, we're always looking at salaries to see if they're equitable.
Okay.
We're looking at the data to see where are your people of color, where are various genders at in terms of senior or junior in your organization. So we're always working very closely with our diversity and inclusion team on the data to help kind of drive some action items that we need to put into effect for the teams that we work with.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Um, Drive next steps. Okay. And so then, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion. Inclusion to me is recognizing that there are many voices, and that those many voices shouldn't just mirror me and what I like, what I believe, where I've come from. Because if everyone mirrored each other, we wouldn't grow, because you don't have anyone to challenge and push back on your perspective, especially if it's off or isn't going to really push us forward. So I think it's I know the saying, but it's failing me who this came from at the moment. But just the saying of um, um, it's not just about being invited to the dance, it's being asked to get to the dance floor to dance. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's more so like, yeah, you hired me in, but does my voice matter? Are you including me when it matters? And I think that's very important because you don't want to be a check the box. If it's a check the box exercise to bring in someone, it's not really including them. You're just doing it because you feel like you have to, versus recognizing that there is value and making people feel like they have a sense of belonging or that they can make a difference.
Awesome. Sense of belonging. Okay. And do you currently feel that you belong or are included at your current place of work?
I do. If you asked me this probably like 6 years ago, I probably would have said something different. But I do, and it's probably a product of the leaders I work under, that their team is just in general diverse. Like, so my team is predominantly African Americans, which is not necessarily reflective of some other areas. But it makes you feel good because you see faces in the room that are different than you might see in other organizations. You might see a scattered, diverse person here or there, but to see how much diversity we have on our team is a good feeling to me, because I feel like it really represents an example of what other teams should be, making sure they're taking a step back to make sure they have a similar lens or like a similar grouping of people that are just as diverse as us. So I feel included because of that. I give you the context because I feel included, because I feel like you have a good mix of people that can make you feel like whatever's culturally right to you, you feel like you can comfortably have those conversations, versus feeling like you're an outsider to a group that has a different set of beliefs or a different interests or different cultural vernacular, whatever. It's like it just allows you to feel that you can have those moments of comfort in being yourself, versus feeling like you have to code switch in order to feel like you're a part of the team always, all day long.
Got it. Okay. All right. So we sort of covered that first segment, if you will. We'll shift a bit into organizational assimilation. Would you happen to know what organizational assimilation is?
Just make sure I'm clear. Like, can you share with me your definition for?
Yep, and that's completely okay. So essentially, organizational assimilation is that meeting point where the organization is welcoming and introducing that new hire to the company, right? So, and then it becomes a partnership, because we then want to, allow for the new hire to set those expectations and things with the company as well. So it's really introducing norms, expectations, cultural climate to the new hire and vice versa, right? So that's essentially organizational assimilation. And so with that said, what does that kind of mean for you at your current employer? Like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, let me see here. So I feel like we get to people a couple different ways. I know that there's been a new hire orientation of sorts to get people to be aware of our values, our culture, how to kind of poke around on our internet site on different information, because we have a lot of resources for people, for career development, benefits. It's a lot out there. So I feel like there's some content that gets to new hires. I feel like there tends to be more of a focus on more senior leadership in terms of like packaging like a real robust who do you need to know, what's your 30, 60, 90-day plan. And it exists for more junior people, but I feel like there's more focus on some of your I'll say from the CEO, I'll say like the 1, 2, 3 layers down, like giving them that package to get them on the right track to who they need to know.
Right.
It naturally happens with others, because if I'm an accountant, I need to know who are the other accountants on my team that I work with, who's the senior that I might have to have review my work. So I guess you get it, but it's not nearly as robust in some ways as your senior levels.
Got it. Okay. And so then If you could, sort of think back, what did your first 90 days look like? I know you mentioned the 30, 60, 90-day plan. What did your first 90 days sort of look like?
Well, let me know. How do you want me to answer? Do you want me to answer it in terms of like truly my first, when I first joined the company, or kind of more so in my role right now?
Um, when you first joined the company.
Okay. Okay. The only reason I say is just because my role at that time was a lot more junior than it is now, so I probably just have different perspectives. But if I go back to when I first joined, um, I remember there being orientation for the it was me and two others that started on the same day. I remember them walking us through benefit offerings, giving us a tour of the floors that we worked on. Um, I remember some of that being the generic, like, what do you need to know as an employee of the company? Like, how do you get paid? When do you get paid? What are the benefit offerings? Just some of those details. And then I remember touring and then being kind of waiting in the room until my manager came to pick me up, to take me to our floor, show me where my, cubicle would be, introduce me to the rest of the HR team, and then to take me to lunch. So I remember that being like day one
Okay.
kind of a feel. From there, I want to say that the first few days were probably, if I had to think back, about me taking serious notes to document the processes that we had to do for our role. At the time, I was in payroll, so I remember at the time really taking like a lot of notes to make sure that everything from my old job being in payroll was wiped out, to know what the process was here. I remember there being a lot of that, a lot of shadowing, how they did the process. And then, as I was comfortable taking on and taking ownership of the various elements that were a part of my job.
Okay. All right. Um, so because you have shifted a bit, I would like to know, as you became more senior leadership, what that assimilation may have looked like.
Oh, but my journey has been a unique one. I feel like no one year has been the same. And that was even when I was in payroll. I feel like every year changed. But the role I'm in now is kind of interesting um, because of different people leaving our team, I kept taking on more and more ownership even before I got the title.
Mhm.
So I feel like when I actually got this title, I was kind of already doing 90% of the work in itself. It was just picking up the rest. So I'll say that some of my onboarding, I guess, of this role organically happened through um, me building relationships with the people that I had to partner with and support. So I think a lot of mine, in terms of like, if I had to try to create in my mind my 30, 60, 90-day plan, if I was beginning to support person A for the first time, it was scheduling time to get to know them, understand their background, understanding the dynamics and structure of their team. Were there any hot items that they felt like I needed to know about the team, like any burning issues? What did I think that they're doing good? Where was the greatest opportunity for me to step in and support and partner? And I felt like I would do that and then go a level down to talk to their direct reports in the same way, just for myself to get really baked into what their team did and was responsible for, so I can know where I needed to kind of
Got it.
play my part based on their needs. So I feel like my onboarding was a lot of meetings
Hmm.
as I picked up people to get to know them, a lot of letting them get to know me, really jumping on it to show, that I was a trusted partner, receiving, giving feedback. So I feel like that was a lot of the natural stuff that was happening for me as I moved into this role.
Okay. Awesome. And so, um, do you identify with any of your organization's core values?
Yes. Yes.
And
I
if
think most
there may be a few, but if top of mind, like what are some that sort of stick out to you?
um, integrity, accountability, um, and like the team element. Um, I just, those are the three that for sure stick out, and just delivering like excellence with what we do. So I'd say, I mean, there's a lot of them. Most of the values I find a way to resonate with me, but those are the key ones that I feel like really do. Accountability, teamwork, delivering like excellence. I just forgot what I just said in the first one. I'm blanking. I just gave you. Wait, what was the first one?
Integrity.
I missed one. Thank you. I was like, I knew I missed one of them. But those are the key ones to me that really resonate.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. And so if we could, I kind of, because you remember that first day, really, do you feel that you were similar to your peers? And that was just the introduction, I mean, to the company. So not just the leadership role, but maybe really just that entry point into the organization as a woman, as a Black woman. Do you feel that you were similar to your peers?
Oh, depending on which, I'll give you my transparent answer, but just depending on how you write it, I just want to make sure, because this is just me giving you a transparent answer about my first day. So my first day, I vividly remember the receptionist asking me my name, and I told her, and she said, "Oh, what area are you going to work in?" And I told her HR, and she was like, "They hired somebody Black in HR? Okay, girl, you must be good." So I didn't know what to take of that, because I'm like, and she was African American too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, should I be nervous?
Yeah.
Should I be proud because something about me created a breakthrough? Like it just, and now that I'm older, I'm like, would I check the box? So it just that thought, I knew my value, I knew my worth, and I knew what I could produce. So I knew it wasn't to check the box, because I knew in my heart, I'm a hard worker. I'm all about education, learning, and growing. But that just really stuck with me.
Yeah. That
was the comment. And I just share that with you just because when I started, I was the only, technically there was another person in HR that was a minority, but they worked in a different segment, so they weren't really HR focused. It was more like teaching and learning of a whole another area of the business. So technically in her mind, I was the only Black person in HR. But I felt like because of my personality, people will laugh and say I could probably get along with a fly on the wall, or like I could get along with anyone, or find a way to make a relationship work. So I feel like I made relationships work, but there's still something there that when you're the only person of color in your area, that you still feel like there might be things about your background, your culture, things that other people may not get in the same way. So that was always there until my boss came in, that things shifted for me, because I thought there was someone else there that I could really connect to, that was a good mentor, that was very strong, another person of color like me, that I started to feel a shift where I felt like I was naturally able to feel a little bit more myself with her presence there.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to ask for one quick pause. I need to here's my charger now. My computer was looking like dying. Okay. So we have went through the second segment. Now we'll go into the final segment, which is on job satisfaction. And we'll start with just, are you currently satisfied at your current employer? Why or why not?
I am. I am satisfied, and it's interesting because of, without going into too many details, just our company has evolved over time because of different changes with acquisition, that who we were acquired by has a lot of focus on I&D, like diversity inclusion, more so than the company I started with here. So that's why if you ask me for one pocket of my time working versus another, you're going to hear a drastic difference in me when that changed. And I feel satisfied now because I truly feel a sense of pride in how much thought, work, and effort goes into diversity and inclusion and belonging, and giving people opportunities and knocking down what we'll call unconscious biases that might block people from giving certain individuals a chance. Okay. Or even viewing them as potential. So
Okay.
because of that, I feel really grateful of the journey I've had, because it's put me in a position that's allowed me to grow into the role I'm in now. That several short years ago, I wouldn't have believed I was here at that time. But now that I'm here, I know I'm deserving of it, and it's given me a good opportunity to try to make a difference. So because of that, I'm really satisfied that I've been surrounded by good mentors, good sponsors, and been able to be put into a position to shine, and really excel at what I'm really driven and love to do, which
Okay.
is to help people.
Awesome. And essentially, so the follow-up question was your top three reasons. And if I can recap, I think I'm hearing a few things, good mentors and sponsors, a sense of pride in the work being done around diversity and inclusion, and then the opportunities to grow. Is that sort of what I heard?
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, those are good ones.
All right. And if there's anything you want to add, I just, I know you mentioned those. Um, I wouldn't want you to belabor or, dig for more.
No,
There is more, but it is, your top three reasons for why you feel satisfied.
yeah, no, I think those are the top three. I'm trying to think if there's any more I would call out. I'm satisfied too, because I'm in a place to have a voice to make a difference. So I think I'm able to challenge people. I'm instead of feeling like I have to be a quiet voice in the background, I'm in a position where it's expected of me probably to speak up, and I can speak up. So if I see something that's off about, I don't know, say, hey, you have a team that's full of white males. You have an opportunity to hire a person of color or a woman, but you're about to look at two other white males. You're missing opportunity. So I'm in a better place where it's required of me, and I'm in a place where I can challenge them versus being a little voice in the background that just notices it, but really can't have any say so in what's happening except to say, hey, we should really be focused on diversity. But I really enjoy being in that place because it allows me to try to make a mark, in terms of driving some of those differences out. But I hear noise about, and what I would love to see personally within the team I help and support.
Got it. Awesome. Okay. And then, so are you involved in any activities sort of within your current organization, but outside of your job description, if that makes any sense? So that's any maybe volunteer work or, champion initiatives or anything like that.
Yeah, so I do. Our company is really big on volunteering, just in general, like giving back to, very mission driven. So there's always plenty of volunteering opportunities. So I sign up wherever I possibly can. But besides that, I'm a part of various, some companies might call it employee resource groups or business resource groups, but different ones that are connected to African American, Hispanic, the LGBTQ community, people with disabilities, young professionals. So I've signed up for a majority of the ones that we offer, just because, to stay connected, to understand, to educate myself and know what various groups across our organization are going good or bad, in terms of how we show up for those respective groups.
Got it.
So I'm involved in those. I want to keep getting more involved than I am, but I definitely am involved in join into the conversations and learn and grow from the others that are there.
Got it.
Other things I'll call out real quick are, I'm a part of our culture action team. So that was more of a recent thing that I joined into, just to think about different opportunities for.
I'm sorry, that was culture action.
Yeah, culture action team. So essentially what they did is, like, each business area has a team like that isn't the most senior leaders, but it's a team of individuals, or people can volunteer to be a part of it if they want to, but to try to think about ways to engage our respective teams. So for me, that would be being a part of a core team that's thinking of activities to bring to HR to keep them engaged, morale, help call out feedback of what's not going so well with our team, what is going so well.
Mhm.
So that was a recent addition that I joined in on. And then the last thing I'll call out is that I recently was certified to be an executive coach, an internal executive coach, excuse me, just for our company. So sometimes you might have leaders that want their leadership team to get an external coach to the company, but other times they'll leverage internal coaches. But you just can't coach someone that's in a team that you work with. So I can't coach anyone that's finance, but
Okay.
I could go coach somebody that's in IT
Awesome.
or in sales or marketing. So I recently got certified to do that. So I'll start being able to be a coach to other areas as they find a person that fits for me to help coach them through something that they need.
So that pivots into my next question, which is, are you sort of aware of any mentorship opportunities at your current place of work? And or are you, I mean, and if so, are you involved in any? So it sounds like there will be the opportunity for you to serve as a mentor, a coach, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, if you
Exactly.
don't, if you don't mind me asking though, were you mentored at all?
Ooh, see, it's interesting. I wasn't. I think there was unofficial mentors that I had. I don't think it was ever like, hey, Ashley, can you be my mentor, or to create this engagement. So for that respect, I probably would say no, but there was these informal situations. And probably what I had more of is sponsors than anything, which is an interesting discussion because we've been talking about that a lot at my job about um, some people don't really get the difference between like a mentor may not be a sponsor. There's a difference. Like a mentor might help you encourage you or think through certain elements that you're trying to get better at, versus a
Okay.
sponsor might be somebody that's speaking up for you, or I don't know, like is if they hear noise around a role that's opening up or something about you being good or bad, they could be another voice in the room for you to really help pave the way. So we've been talking a lot about that people may not always realize the difference between those two elements. But I think when I think back, I feel like I've had a good, nice circle of sponsors around me at different levels that I really feel helped guide me um, through my career, especially for this latter half of it. I've been grateful for having sponsorship, which is more key than I think people realize sometimes.
Got it. Okay. That's huge. Thank you. And so our last question, which is sort of three parts,
Mhm.
and is just sort of take it as you will. But what are your personal slash professional goals? Your current ones. I know I'm not sure if you're living them, but what does that look like for you?
Hmm. You said personal slash professional.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I probably say my first one is leading by example. Be that with my kids, be that with my friends, be that with people I work with. Um, I feel like my journey to get to the role now has just been an interesting one in my eyes, that I'm forever grateful and blessed to have. And I feel like if I can be of any influence to others around me of hard work paying off, surrounding yourself with love and people that really have a desire to really help you succeed, and just giving the same back, it just does, it can do volumes,
Yeah.
just to support you in whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I was a long-winded answer, but I definitely would say leading by example. Um, I would say just to keep improving my craft. I mean, and this might be a short to long-term goal, but I feel like I so quickly got to this position that I always take a step back and say, what am I missing? Like, what is it that I really need to focus in on to get even better? Because I feel like in some things I'm just really strong. It's natural. I get it. I don't even bat an eye because I just feel like it's so natural to me to do it. There's other things that I feel a bit more uneasy about,
Yeah.
that I, feel the support because I, really collaborate well. So where I might have weaknesses, someone else is strong, and then for them, vice versa. So we play
Got it.
nicely. But I really just want to keep developing my craft. Um, the fast track, I want to make sure I get back to what I might have been missing if it was a slower progression.
Awesome.
Um, and then trying to think. Hopefully this fits to the answers you're looking for, but I think it's just continuing to find ways to trying to think. I thought it's going to be too much to like the first one.
No, these are good. I mean, Unless
I'm
you
thinking, I feel like there's others, but I'm trying to think how to formulate them in the right way. Because I don't know if this really applies, but another thing I was going to say was just like even the balance of work and professional is important. So I think that in this culture we're in right now, it's like everything is fast paced, and even being virtual, that the days get longer, and then you feel like your personal gets shorter.
Mhm.
So I think it's trying to find, continue to find a way for myself and others to keep, especially women, to keep being able to progress forward in your career and not feeling that guilt or that strain of trying to balance the two.
Mhm.
I felt it before, but I feel it more so now.
Mhm.
And I feel like I feel like I can be of influence there, because you still have those situations where people feel like, oh, does this woman want the job? Is she too busy with her personal life? And
Mhm.
it's possible. Like, I've done a lot of things all at once. It's possible if they have the ambition and drive to do it. But also for people to feel like they don't have to take a step back from it because of their personal life. So I think from the various angles, to really try to figure out a way to keep influencing others, to keep driving forward on their dreams or what they aspire to be, but
Mhm.
still keep the balance to keep themselves and their self-care and the stuff outside of work relevant and just as important as what they're doing at work.
Okay. Awesome. Um, so I'm hearing a few things. So the leading by example, because hard work, I mean, and showing that hard work does pay off, improving and developing your craft, and then sort of that work life balance, right? Do you feel supported by your organization by those?
I do. I feel like I know this isn't just unique to us, but the work-life balance is hard. I think in general right now for a lot of people, if it's not the actual work you're doing, it's the fact that you have two loud kids downstairs running around and you're trying to balance like different schedules. It's like, so it's not unique to us, but I think it's something that, because I'm living it and hearing other people in our organization feeling the strain, is just very relevant on my mind. And I think when you're in the heat of it, it makes you realize I need that balance.
Mhm.
It's like being closer to home in this environment can show people like, I need this family life, I need this, and your work can take you away from it. So I definitely feel it right now. But that doesn't, it's not to the point where I don't feel support, because there's a lot of support and resources that our company gives for it. It's just the nature of the environment. Like, there's so many resources, but the work has to be done at
Mhm.
the same time.
Mhm.
So it's trying to strike that balance of like knowing our company is there for resources and support, but also knowing that there's still work to do that can get in the way of that balance. But
And if you don't mind, if maybe there are just a few things, one or two, what are some of the resources you speak of that, are supportive?
it could be something like, um, it's failing me on the name of it, but just creating like these like, um, not necessarily the employee resource groups, so almost these groups of like working parents, for example, like as a way that you could just relate to or connect to other parents that might be trying to figure out, navigate the balance similar to what I might be having or you might be having. So you have those kind of resource connections, but then there's just benefits to help you with childcare or tutoring, um, like things like that, if you need it for your kiddo at home, where you're trying to get them some support when their schooling isn't the same
Okay,
way it would have been in the past.
got it.
Um, I know there's like HR related initiatives, but then there's also like, even for me, for example, working with the finance team, I might hear them talk about how people feel too busy, they can't take time off, they're struggling to find the balance of their schedule. So even in those settings, it's trying to get creative to think about what can we do? Like, can you guys create a day, a week or two out, that says everybody, you're off today, like forced time off? Or are they role modeling the way as a senior leader to say, I'm going on vacation next week, I want you all to do the same, to say like we all deserve that. Now I'm showing you by example that I'm going to step away and won't be bothered because
Oh,
I really need to detach. So I think it's trying to get them to think of ways to keep getting creative about giving people that breathing room,
okay,
that we keep trying to work through just team by team as it comes up. But
got it.
it's a lot. It's just it's still the work's there. So it's trying to figure out the right balance between everything that we're offering and what they actually can do.
And so then creative time off. That's I like how you put that. Is there the does your PTO structure sort of uh, in, allow for creative time off, or is that just sort of case by case, or are employees not necessarily? So understanding the work has to be done, but I guess what does the PTO structure look like? Are you able to just step away in that way?
Yeah, so we have certain requirements for sure for like our non-exempt people that have to fill time cards out. So they have to have so much, they have to be allocated a set amount of time. But for your staff that's exempt or just salaried staff, it's it's you aren't allocated a set amount of time to use. So it's kind of like you working with your manager
Hmm.
to be able to take whatever time off you need. So that could be 10 days one year, that might be 40 days the next year, depending on the ability to do so. So it does give that flexibility, but then when you don't have a target number that you're working within, you got to be mindful, right? Because then you just keep working and working and working, and then you're like, it's November and I took 5 days off. So it
Yeah.
kind of makes you have to be more intentional about, you haven't stepped away for a while, like in a while, like I want you to find that time. So I
Yeah.
think it creates that discussion point. So it could be looked at as a good thing or a bad thing in some people's minds, but it's being responsible with making sure you take the time that you need, and also making sure your manager is aware of when you have or have not, really been taking that breathing room that we each need.
Got it. Okay. And then the last part of that question is, do you feel that you're making progress towards your goals?
I do. I do. I feel like I'm given the space and opportunity to make my stamp, have people that will come to me for opinions or guidance on things. So I feel like if I ever question some of it, which could be easy to do when I think about how quickly I moved up to this position, you can have that little bit of like, not doubt, but it's like, I got here fast.
Hmm.
Like, and like that confidence, to keep building the confidence up. And I think every time I feel like I have people come to me for questions, even people I don't even support, it could be like HR teammates or something. Like the fact that I know that people trust me enough to come to me and seek out guidance is a signal to me that's like I'm doing something right, because I don't work with them on a daily basis. I don't, they don't work for me. There's
Hmm.
nothing that we really have to do that's going to cross paths to really create an impact to one another, but you still trust me enough and my thought process and my guidance to really challenge you or call you out on if there's something that I think could be helpful or beneficial to you. So things like that make me feel like I'm making a difference, and I just keep wanting to leverage that to keep on propelling myself further even more. Because I feel like I'm in a good position to do that, and it's really up to me at this point to really capitalize on that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this was magnificent. I'm not sure if you have anything more that you'd like to add as to what your current employer is doing to retain women. I mean, I've gotten a lot, but if there's anything more that you have along those lines, time is now.
Yeah, I think depending on like the teams you're on, who you report to, what kind of sponsorship you have, you're going to have different experiences, right? And I think that's in any organization. So I think that our organization continues to hear feedback where people may feel supported or may not feel so supported, to figure out how do we keep improving that. So I think the way that our company is going to continue to keep advocating for women is to keep hearing the feedback and asking people that can have perspective that would be helpful on to be included in those conversations, to think about what can we do different here.
Yep.
And I feel like I said, I have a different journey or perspective because I came from a company that was acquired by another. That acquisition for me made me have an appreciation for what I was seeing. But then I also have an appreciation for the fact that there might be people that were in the company that acquired us that were feeling like I felt at my old one, which is interesting to me. But it's nonetheless let you know it exists anywhere. So it's like, how do you just keep your eye on the prize and keep on working towards improving? So I think we're continuing to keep doing that.
Yep.
Be that in your own silo of what you are working on directly, or be it at a company-wide level where we continue to have that lens on being equitable,
Mhm.
being representative of women. And I think it's about making sure that you keep pulling women along and having a voice when it's necessary. So I appreciate that I'm having that chance to do that. And I hope for even other areas of our company that I'm not as close to, that they're also giving that same opportunity for people that know the journey to speak up on their journey and to help others out that are seeking the same.
Awesome. Well, like I said, this was great information. I'm gonna